Are you ready to listen to my dad Joe and Uncle Justin talk about sports? Now on with the show.
The Joe Mays and J-Raff Show is brought to you by Mays Sandwich Shop, which have been serving the greater West Lawn area delicious food for over 70 years.
So get ready! I mean, get ready! Are you ready for some football?
You are listening to the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show. A weekly podcast about sports since 2011. With a focus on football. Now, here are your hosts, Joe Mays and Justin Raffoff.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show. I am one of your hosts, Joe Mays. Here with me, as always, is my co-host, Justin Raffoff.
Yeah, dug out of the snow, and here we are.
Yeah, it has been a snowy one here in Pennsylvania over the last 48 hours, all weekend long. An extended weekend for many with Martin Luther King Day tomorrow, January 19th, 2026. Right now it's January 18th, 2026, and we have 3 of the 4 divisional round playoff games have concluded. We will be recapping those and then keeping you up to date with this last game, the finale of, I know what some people say is the best pro football weekend of the year. I think that's up for debate. I don't even know. I know we talked about last week that we really liked Wild Card Weekend because it's spread out. You get two games, you get 3 games, you get a game on Monday. Honestly, I feel like I like the regular season. Like, I know the playoffs, means more.
I get it.
But I get so much more football. I can watch football Thursday, Sunday, Monday.
I really like the Thanksgiving one where you've got Thursday.
Now
we've got a Friday,
right?
And then you've got Sunday, and then you have Monday, which is nice. My only issue is that I'm a red zone watcher. Like I like that. Red Zone, I feel like, is more fun when there's more games going on, and those Sunday games.
When you can have an Octobox.
Right. There are fewer games when you have it 3 games Thursday, 1 game Friday, 1 game Sunday night, 1 game Monday night. There's just fewer games to spread out on the Sunday, but it's still awesome. Like, that part of it I really like. I don't know. But yeah, if I had to pick a playoff weekend, I'm picking Wild Card Weekend. If I have to pick any weekend, there's that. I mean, Labor Day weekend is fun.
But
just
that's
from
not
the sense
usually NFL yet.
No. But just from the sense of you start getting football back. Yeah, you're right. That isn't even NFL. But just kind of leading into all of that, that.
It was at one time, right? Like, the calendar used to be that the NFL played on Labor Day weekend, did it not? Because I feel like I remember.
I don't know.
My dad, my grandparents, my dad.
You mean the Super Bowl didn't used to be halfway through February?
No, it did not, because I went to one that was in January. So I'm very aware that the Super Bowl wasn't always in February.
That's like one of those, how old are you?
Right.
I went to a Super Bowl in January.
Well, I mean, think about, there's a lot of times that you see throwback on this day in NFL history, or for me, Miami Dolphins history, where the Dolphins won a playoff game and it's the end of December.
Yes, yeah.
So, yeah, the extension of the season has its perks. I don't know that I hate that the Super Bowl's in February.
No.
I don't really like the week off. I don't know that we need. I'm sure from media and travel and all, and I wish it was just continuous. I don't like the week off.
No, I get it.
It's annoying to me. I do wish that the season started on Labor Day weekend. Like that's when I wish it started. And honestly, people were like, "Well, it's usually closer to when college football starts." Move college football earlier.
College football
They've
should
moved
start
high school
earlier,
football
right.
earlier. Like we are now starting stuff in basically the middle of August.
I agree. The end of the NFL season being in February doesn't bother me. I actually feel like we should bump it back one more week and have it be President's Day weekend. Like that. I know there are all kinds of complications with that. Biggest of which I don't know how we could move it onto the same weekend as the NBA All-Star game. But no, like Super Bowl on Sunday with, again, not everyone, but a lot of people having the holiday on the Monday. That would be fantastic.
Yeah,
I know. I had this conversation with a number of people already this week, and I don't know that I brought it up on the show last week. I might have, but just the idea, and I was talking with the college national championship being tomorrow night.
that I hate.
I was saying like it should have been Friday night, and I know like and my argument was there was a time when people like I believe that Friday night viewership and Saturday night viewership may have been like less, you know what I mean, than like a Monday night viewership. But like I feel like that is one of those things that has changed. We don't know because it won't be on a Friday night. They'd be like, oh well, the ratings we get, yeah, but you don't put anything worth watching on a Friday night. No one's going to watch anything on a Friday. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
If
It's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
right.
No one watches anything, so we're not going to put it
I
there.
do not believe that there would be a substantial loss at all in viewership of tomorrow night's national championship game if it had been on last Friday. Aside from the fact that it shouldn't be like that, we should redo the whole college football calendar. That's a separate discussion. But like, even if it's this weekend, it should have been Friday. I know that makes it a short from when they last played, but like again, that's not the point I'm addressing here. I believe, honestly, I feel like it could go up. Like I believe it could go up if it was on Friday as opposed to Monday. Because I guarantee you, tomorrow I may see the beginning. And then guess what I'm going to do? Turn it off and go to bed.
Yeah.
Because there is work on
kickoff at
Tuesday.
8:30 or something like that?
I feel like it might be 7:30, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay, that's not terrible.
No.
But you're right. Yeah, I'm not going to get through it for sure. But
No, like it's not that I'm not interested, but I'm not that interested. Like,
no, I do like one that the Big Ten's represented.
Yes.
That it's a team that is not historically good. On the other side, I know there are plenty of people that hate Miami, but a lot of that's from the late 80s, early 90s.
Right.
Maybe early 2000s, especially Ohio State people for sure. I know not everyone was always a fan of the Miami Hurricanes.
7:30 tomorrow.
Okay.
Yep.
So kickoff will be not before 7:38, maybe even 7:46
It'll probably be
or something like
7:45,
that.
yeah.
So, but I do like that Miami is in it because it really adds a lot of weight to, or actually takes weight away from the argument that Notre Dame should have been in over them, as now
Right.
Miami is now set to play for the national title.
I believe we sent this to each other though, but like Notre Dame hypothetically would have beat Miami in November, even though they lost to them in September.
on the field, yeah. Right, but I mean that's an SEC thing though, the hypothetical champions, which now it'll be 3 years.
Well, I mean, you got Ryan Clark saying the reason Miami's in is because they play more like an SEC school than
right,
SEC
yeah,
schools.
true.
That's why.
So now
If by that he means good, then yes, they did play better than the SEC.
there hasn't been an SEC team in the national title game since January 2022.
Right.
So, yeah, just wanted to point that out.
Right.
Obviously we're SEC haters, we're Notre Dame haters.
Right.
We like to hate on all of them. Hate a lot of other teams, but those teams are completely irrelevant to college athletics, college football at least. So
Not the Penn State, who had a bunch of guys transferred down to some of those schools.
yeah, well,
We're-
I don't know if we'll have time to talk Penn State football in the transfer portal, but yeah, we could. There's a lot that we could touch on there, but we're first going to start obviously with the NFL, and we'll go in order. We'll go to yesterday afternoon for Bills-Broncos. Started at probably 4:36 or something like that.
Yep.
Yesterday, kickoff in Denver, and it was It was a good one. I mean, you look at the box score, you look at the final score, it went to overtime. It was a good game. It kept the theme going from Wild Card Weekend, at least for the majority, the beginning of Wild Card Weekend. I know the Sunday night game and the Monday night game were not great last week, but the other games were very good, very entertaining. We talked about them here on the show last week. And this one had it going too. It was exciting. You know, I said the NFL's king. Like no one can stand up to it. At least in American sports, the pull that live NFL football has, and once you get to the playoffs, things just go crazy. The viewership numbers are going to be wild. I think it was the best wild card weekend since like 2018 or something like that. Some of the games set, I believe, viewership records for their time slots or the day of the game or whatever. You can see all that, but the NFL's doing fine. This game has become, in some minds, somewhat tainted, whereas I guess people don't remember the wild card weekends games being that way. This one, with the way that it ended with some calls, non-calls, or the interpretations of actions on the field, people don't agree with. I know my dad was one of them. He was pushing back on me a bit when I was at the shop with him doing snow removal today. And if you've ever listened or watched this show, you know that I hate the Buffalo Bills. And it's because they're a rival.
Right.
Like that's it. Honestly, Buffalo is not a city that I hate on for any real reason. I don't like the Bills, though, because I'm a Miami Dolphins fan. I cannot root for the Bills, the Patriots, or the Jets. Most circumstances. There's sometimes that things go a little awry for my rooting interest. But, yes, I do hate the Buffalo Bills. But I feel like I can be pretty level-headed and pragmatic when it comes to seeing what I see on the football field. And immediately you and I were talking about this, as we always do, which is why this show started anyways, because we were just constantly talking about it. Why don't we put it out there for other people? So I think all the stuff we talked about really was in overtime.
Yeah.
And it was on what led to the final game-winning drive.
Right.
So first up is the weird interception. That is probably where we need to start.
Yeah.
Did you get to look at it anymore?
Yeah. So actually, so when I saw it live, I thought it was an interception. And then when I started seeing replays, and again, I was at a function last night, so I am seeing it on a screen, but there is no sound. Or there's lots of sounds, but it's not game audio, like it's not broadcast audio. So like, I'm not hearing any explanations. I'm not hearing the rules analysts' interpretations. I'm not hearing what the ref is saying, or the commentator. I'm hearing none of that. And then I'm like, and this is what I said to the guy who I'm watching with. I'm like, I think he might have caught it and been down, but I said, it's the way the rule works in the NFL, though, is like when there's contact and you have to complete it through the ground. I honestly, and I said, not just for this one, but for many NFL close plays on some of these, I said, I do not know what this is going to be. Like, I do not know what the ruling is going to be. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes you watch a replay and regardless of what they say the ruling is, I have a strong feeling one way or the other about it. I'm like, that is definitely a catcher. That's definitely not a catcher. That's, things like that. This was one of those where I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what, again, at the time, I don't know what the rule says has to happen in this scenario. I wouldn't be surprised if they ruled him down and it's their ball. But, like, if the ruling on the field was an interception, it wouldn't surprise me if it stays as an interception. The more I have, read the articles and explanations, I feel like I have swung from that might have been a catch, offensive catch, to I think they might have gotten it right. In my opinion, all under the umbrella of it was an extremely close play and transparency here. If that was the Eagles on offense and Jalen Hurts had thrown that pass, I would die on the hill that it should have been down.
Right.
Like, I do not know if it was my team involved, or honestly, if I had a strong rooting interest in that game, that I would be able to separate myself enough to actually look at it. Like, honestly, in that one, because it was bang bang and like it's a tough one. But honestly, I've kind of shifted to I think they got it right by the letter of the rule.
Yes, that's what I was going to add.
Just like, and this popped up in my memories just a few weeks ago when Dez Bryant and like Dez caught it. And I immediately, when I was watching that game, I said, that's an incomplete pass. You can blame the rule. You can say it's a bad rule, but by the rule, that is not a catch, because that might have been the same year, or it might have been after, but like the Calvin Johnson catch in the end zone when he like caught it and like got up and like took his hand off the ball and they said he didn't catch it. Like I'm like, if that's not a catch, this is not a catch, And so like, I think by the letter of the rule, I think they got it correct. I think it's, if you want to argue that the rule, it needs to be changed, okay, but you're going to have,
right.
like,
it gets harder and harder to figure it out. So that's
right.
So you and I are on the same page. Honestly, I think we are for all of the things we're going to talk about.
I believe
here.
so.
My take on this is watching it live and the immediate reaction that he had. The defender had the ball, McMillan.
Yeah.
I was like, well, Cooks had possession, was down and being touched. You can't rip the ball away from him. He's down by contact. So my initial thought was like, well, that was a catch. And then when they're showing replays, I'm going back and forth. And then I'm thinking, well, this all falls back on the catch rule.
Right. Completing
what is a catch? Completing the process of the catch. Surviving there. And that's the big one here, because they're saying he never had full possession of the ball and completed the catch.
Right.
And the reason it could be an interception was because the ball was never incomplete. It was never down. It never touched the ground. So the ball was still live. Either of them could have secured the ball to make a catch, and the person that secured the ball was the Denver defender. So it ends up being an interception. So, and like you said, by the way the rule is written, I think they got it correct. And I know there are stills going around that are like, how is this not a catch? Well, a still doesn't show you what you need to see.
And also, the still also shows that the first play of that drive, or the first play where they kind of moved out from the goal line, they like basically horse collared the offensive tackle, piggybacked on the defensive lineman of the Bronco, who was about to hit Josh Allen in the end zone. So like, if we're going to take still shots of the game and talk about calls, it goes both ways.
Yes, but so that like the still photos show nothing.
No,
you can't use photos when you're an act. An act is not one frame. An act is continuous. I mean, they have it used to be. I mean, for touchdowns and receptions, it's 2 feet or a different body part. You have to make a football move or whatever. Like, there's all these kinds of things going on. A still does not show
it's
completion of the catch.
Like, and just a quick side note, like a lot of people, and we say like the rule is what it is, and it's not great. And they're like, I've heard some people, well, how can there be components of like what is a catch? Well, because in the rule book you can't say, well, you'll know it when you see it. Like, that doesn't work. So you have to have criteria. They have those criteria.
Right.
It doesn't go their way this time.
It's really easy for us to sit here and go, well, a catch, when you see it, if it's a catch or not. I mean, the same thing comes up all the time, and we see it throughout the season. I mean, we saw it in some of the games. Now, it didn't end up being controversial because I think they always got the call right. But, possession of the ball when the ball is contacting the ground. Yes. Just because the ball is touching the ground doesn't mean you didn't make the catch. It's did the ground help you secure the catch?
Right.
So, there's all kinds of things going on. I do think by the way it's written in the NFL rule book, they got the call right. Do I like it visually watching the game? No, to me, that should have been the Bills' ball. Brandon Cooks made the catch, and he was down by contact. But when you go into watching the full play, and yes, slow motion obviously helps. They have replay. They didn't use it. The refs on the field didn't use it. However, they were using it in stadium and back in New York.
It's a turnover. It got reviewed. So the idea that it did not get reviewed is not true.
And then you get the people being like, talking about rigged or why isn't the NFL showing this? Why wasn't this addressed? Why wasn't there a pause in the game? Well, because someone determined that it didn't need to be paused, so they kept the game going.
Right.
There's a whole other discussion about should there be more transparency and should we hear these conversations? Because it was what the XFL or the UFL has you the whole time.
Yes, they do. And the ACC does it
And
as
the
well.
ACC.
And I watching an ACC game this fall, it was amazing. It's awesome just to hear, and you're like, okay, like, and because they're walking you through it, and it's not the guy who in the booth who they give a headset to, who is not actually making the call. This is the people who are going to make the call. They start talking like, all right, so first we're looking at this, and then we're talking about that. Like, they go through piece by piece. It was really a cool thing. I know there would be pushback on that, but man, from a transparency standpoint, it's fantastic.
Yeah, so we'll see if that ever comes to big time pro football at the NFL level.
I feel like it's
elsewhere.
hard. I feel like it's hard to argue against. Like, they don't have to argue against it because they can just say whatever we say goes. But like, it's hard to argue against it in my mind.
Yeah, so that was the first one.
Yeah.
I guess is the next one the first pass interference.
The first pass interference.
So the first pass interference I thought was a little ticky tack.
Yeah,
I
didn't think that should be called.
I didn't think it should be called, but it was called.
Yep.
However, the reason that it doesn't matter all that much is because on the same play,
right?
On the same play, Joey Bosa? Nick Bosa.
I think it's Joey.
Okay, Joey Bosa. He's the one that used to be with the Chargers, right?
Yes.
Because Nick is still on the 49ers.
Yes.
And was one of their 37 guys that are injured, right?
Yes.
So Bosa very clearly roughed the passer. And this was not an that's
No, he took 2 steps and jacked the guy.
Yeah, well after the ball was thrown. I don't know what he was doing or why he was doing it. So even if they don't call pass interference,
which
still
ended up being a 17-yard penalty, it would have been a 15-yard penalty.
So 2 yards difference.
Right. That's a non-factor.
It really makes very little difference in the grand scheme of things. So while I didn't think that was pass interference, it really wouldn't have mattered.
Right.
It was going to be a first down, and you were going to be 15 yards closer instead of 17. Okay, 2 yards. That one.
Right.
Whatever. Then the last play, the last play that really matters.
Yes.
Was the pass interference call on Tre'Davious White, who very vehemently thought he didn't pass interfere with him. I have news for you, Trey. You 100% pass interfered with him.
That wasn't close.
Like, it wasn't close.
No.
You didn't even need the slow motion.
No.
He
seeing
was
it live,
engaging with
he got there early.
Right.
And like
tugging at him.
Right. And the thing
ball
is,
was there.
if it was just body, like if he ran in kind of like, when you're beat with his arms up and just like kind of bodied him, I think maybe he gets away with it. Not gets away with it. I think maybe it's a non-call at that point
because you did throughout the game.
Because it was underthrown and stuff. But when he comes across and basically starts to defend the ball
without the ball being
there, that's pass interference.
Yeah.
Now, was he the one that was called on the previous play?
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
No, it was Teron Johnson, I believe.
Okay, because I'm like, if it was, then I can understand because like
no, it
you
was
probably still
else.
have that in your head. Like, and again, those are all things. The setting I was in was not conducive to picking up on those details at the moment.
Sure.
But like, yeah, no, that was, and maybe he was still mad about that call. But it was clear pass interference. Like I don't know what to tell you, and I think it was you that maybe said it to me. Like Romo even said it on the thing. Like that's why you're aggressive. You're aggressive because you're gonna get calls. Not get, but
the entire time, the entire overtime,
they were playing
period,
to win. They weren't playing for a 60-yard field goal, and they have a good kicker. They weren't playing for a 60-yard field goal. They're going for the win.
I'm gonna try to pull it up here because I just feel like it, like you can see it, and I just, it's hard for me to think.
And in real time, yes, it was closer, but like even there, you can tell he arrives before the ball, and you're opening like that is going to get called sometimes,
right?
Not every time, and I get that's frustrating too. But guess who that's frustrating to? Like the Broncos, like If the Broncos don't get that call, and then let's say they miss a field goal or they don't get it, and then there's all this talk about how Sean Payton was screwed again by another missed,
yeah.
like
like the Saints
right,
were.
right, like
Which that is way more egregious than any of this.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Which because we haven't
Yes.
even got to the next best part, the 5 turnovers that the Buffalo Bills had. But
Right.
here, let's show the video now that this is the play in question right here. So
There, that left arm,
Look,
and-
I have
and the
paused
right
it.
arm around.
The ball is not even in his hands yet.
right.
And that is what Tre'Davious White is doing.
Right.
So,
and so again, in my mind, if his arms were straight up, now if his arms are straight up, Mims might go up and over and catch the ball. I don't know, but I still think it's going to be a really tough catch. But right there, that's when it became interference. If his arms are straight up, I don't know if Mims catches the ball.
I think there's a very good chance Mims does catch the ball if he
Right.
doesn't interfere.
Which is why it's not necessarily a bad play to make the contact.
It's just bad in overtime where a field goal wins the game.
Right, it is. But even there, like it is, I'd say it's on the end of like, oh my gosh, if I let him catch it, we lose. And like maybe the flag doesn't get thrown. Maybe like
he is literally pulling him to the ground
Yes.
before the ball is touching his
Yes.
hand. And there are people like Dan Orlovsky going on X
Right.
saying that the officials took over the game, the officials
Right.
blew that game.
No.
Absolutely not.
No.
Ridiculous.
It is 100% to me. That is 100%. And I felt this way. I did feel like we were robbed of a classic ending of a game that was classic, but not by anyone, just by the circumstances of the game. Like it is a shame that the game had to end that way, but it's not the ref's fault that White tackled the guy before the ball got
Right.
there. Like that's not.
If you don't call that, like you just said, talking about Sean Payton getting screwed, the Broncos getting screwed because
Right.
they would have been livid because that is pass interference.
Right.
Look, and I know a few times earlier, and the referee, whoever they had in the,
Right.
I forget who they were calling in because there's so many of them
Right,
that do
right.
it anymore, but whoever they were referring to, calling their referee expert, he was saying on a few of them, and I believe one for both teams, that was just good defense. It's physical, but it's not impeding the ability
Right.
to make the catch. Therefore, it is not pass interference. However, that last one was very clearly he's hitting the arms and pulling
right.
him down before the ball is touching his hands.
Right.
I don't know what more people want.
Right.
I just don't. So that's frustrating.
And it to me, it's clearly people are frustrated with those last 2 calls, and therefore say this must be a bad call. No, like, and like we said, the second one, the only one that I'm like, oh, okay, like was the first pass interference. I'm like, that was probably in my mind. That's
I've
not
seen
pass
worse,
interference.
right. I've seen
But
worse
like,
not
but-
called.
Right, but at the same time, I've seen worse get called. Like
Right.
I've seen stuff where it's like I don't know what they were even looking at. Like, so it's not the end of the world that it got called, but like, okay. And it was inconsequential because you had
Bosa pushing
Make a
down
bonehead play,
Bo
right.
Nix for no reason. Yeah. So that's frustrating because it was a good game, and now it's being overshadowed by supposedly officiating issues, which
Right.
I just don't see.
No.
There's been far worse.
I wish
like that Saints
right.
game.
I wish the end of the game could have happened. Like I wish I wish if there was going to be a pick, he just goes up and skies it and takes it away. I wish that Mims just makes the catch, even if he got interfered with.
Right,
all of
right,
those,
right, right,
like
yeah.
that would have been awesome. Like, because then it just happens. But like it didn't, and so like that's the way it ends sometimes. It's not the same, but by some people was handled the same way online, and we've talked about this. A few years ago when the Eagles got called for holding, and it eliminated any chance they had at getting at coming back in that Super Bowl. They lost to the Chiefs. Have I seen worse holding not get called? Yes. Have I seen did he grab him? Yeah. And as much as I want to be mad about it, I'm mad because I'm a fan
Right.
and it was the team I like.
Look,
but
we went on that
what
show
am I supposed to do?
afterwards, and I
Yeah.
said, "Look, I'm sorry. Like, I know you don't like it. That was pass interference."
Yeah.
But the thing that I felt like, and you understood and calmed down
Right.
eventually, and also you've now won another Super Bowl, so it probably feels a
makes
little
it
bit
even,
less.
yeah.
But the defender said, "I did that.
Right.
I shouldn't have done that. It
Right.
was a mistake." like I don't know what else more you want. Thankfully, time eventually moves on, and these ones that are like, ticky-tacky arguments over calls that were probably right, but fan bases get angry, eventually you mostly forget. The egregious ones, like the one against the Saints, I will never forget that one because it was so obvious. I don't know how it was missed.
There's a funny story. Trey Wingo tells a story of how, I think it was Trey Wingo, about one time he was sitting, might have been like after that game. He was like flying back to California or something, and he's like sitting with a guy on the plane, and they're talking about it, and because the guy recognizes him as ESPN, and like I don't even know exactly the story. I just saw it in the last couple months though, and Trey's like, yeah, he's like, I don't know how somebody missed that call. It was the ref.
Wow, yes, I'd never heard that.
But yeah, so like, yeah, it happens.
I don't know. So
it happens.
Look, I do, and
I think it adds to the story that it's Buffalo, and they've had all these heartbreaking losses, not just from our childhood, but over the last few years. Like they've had some just incredibly tough losses.
It gets
like it just all adds
the Ravens,
to
the
it.
Chiefs, the Bengals. Like they seem to be maybe the better team, although I don't know that they were here. But if some of the other ones you felt like they were the better team, and they didn't play like it, who's that a reflection on? We talked about could Sean McDermott get fired? The only thing I think saving him in this instance is, well, one, I think ownership might look at the non-interception catch thing and be like, that was the wrong call, which, again, we've been over this. I don't think it was the wrong call, but I understand why you might feel screwed. I get it. But also, Sean McDermott didn't do anything yesterday that felt wrong, from a coaching aspect. There's been other issues over the playoffs and in the regular season, the last 5 years or whatever, that you're kind of like, why did you do that? What was the why? But I don't know. I think they're going to give him another year. I don't think they're going to move on.
I agree. Also, you'd be late into the game, so some of the quote-unquote top
you no longer have Harbaugh, you no longer have Stefanski.
Like, those guys are...
Daboll might be the new Eagles OC. Halfley's looking like my new Dolphins guy, which... Not even ready to go there with that one.
But, like, it is one of those... And you mentioned this in passing as we go through. Look, this is not a pile on Josh Allen. Like, I saw, he was crushed after the game, and... Like I feel bad for him, and I like Josh Allen. I do not, before halftime, I do not know what he was thinking on that play. That was a free 3 points for the Broncos. Like I don't know what he was thinking. I've never seen anything like that, and it was a game they lost by a field goal.
Right.
Now, again, there was half the game to play. Sure. Actually, more than half the game left
slightly
to play.
More. Yeah.
But, like, I've never seen anything like that. About that decision. I don't know what he was doing. Even you take away the crazy one, which we've talked about kind of at length here already. There were 4 other turnovers in the game. Like, you're not going to win many playoff games when you turn the ball over 4 times / 5 times.
Right.
Not going to happen.
So did he have how many interceptions did he have? 2?
I don't know. I think 2.
2 interceptions, and the team had 3 fumbles, right?
Yeah.
They had 5 turnovers.
Yeah.
You're not going to win too many games with 5 turnovers.
Right.
And look, Josh Allen didn't blame the refs.
I
know McDermott did absolutely push back. He said stand up for Buffalo regarding the Cook's catch / interception thing. But you got to face the facts. The team didn't play well enough, including your star quarterback.
Well, I'm sure they'll try to ban interceptions this year too. So, since that's kind of their thing is banning plays and then using
they
them.
Still use.
Yeah.
My thing is, look. I hate the Buffalo Bills. Our friend Adam doesn't help that case whatsoever. But I also hate the New York Jets and the New England Patriots. Why? Because they're the rivals of the Dolphins.
Right.
But however, and I've said this on this show before. To me, Josh Allen is the NFL version of Bryce Harper in baseball, where before he was on the Phillies, I hated Bryce Harper.
Yes.
But I hated him because he wasn't on the Phillies.
Oh, 100%.
Because he was doing all this, he's being this big-time player.
He played on a rival.
He played on a rival. I'm like, get out of here. Right. And then he's a free agent. Phillies are interested. Sign me up.
Yes.
Bring him to town. And I know they haven't been able to seal the deal and win the World Series, but he's been a huge part of their success. He's made them relevant again after they were nobodies for 8 years until he got here, or a little bit after he got here. Same thing with Josh Allen. Now, is he ever going to be a Miami Dolphin? No, that's never going to happen. But like,
hey, you might get him like those last 2 years before he retires when he's a shell of himself.
If he goes to the Tom Brady school of aging, I'd be okay with him, at 38 or whatever. But yes, I like Josh Allen. Like, if he wasn't on the Buffalo Bills, he could be one of my favorite players in the NFL. He gets knocked down because he's the Buffalo Bills starting quarterback. But I have definitely moved into the Josh Allen camp over the last few years. I do feel bad for him, but I can't commiserate too much because you're a Buffalo Bill, and I just don't want to see the Buffalo Bills win the Super Bowl because I'm a Dolphins fan. And I know I've got a bunch of friends and acquaintances that are Buffalo Bills fans, and I'm sorry. It's nothing personal. It's just I'm a Dolphins fan. So, no. Sorry, Adam.
Yeah, it's not you. It's me.
Yeah, sorry, Adam. Sorry, Chad. I know you were on here. Not Chad Henne. Right. Who was also a Miami Dolphin. But no, Chad Barman from Penn State, who I know we talked about him last week because he was commenting. He's an upstate New York guy.
On the other hand, congratulations, Coach Steve.
Congratulations, Coach Steve, except for the part that we haven't talked about at all.
Yes.
We haven't mentioned it at all.
The worst congratulations ever,
it
sorry.
It came out of nowhere as I'm texting you and avoiding texting Adam because I try to not be that kind of friend. I'm holding on to that card for when it really matters. But Bo Nix broke his ankle. And
sometime.
I don't agree with any of the posts that it was the second to last play in overtime because that was the kneel down to set up the field goal. That is not when he broke his ankle. I'm guessing it was that running play to the short side of the field, which everyone was like, why are you calling that? Well, guess what? Now it just broke your quarterback's ankle. He's having surgery Tuesday in Alabama.
Right.
And he's done. Now, Jarrett Stidham, who didn't start a single game this year, I think threw all of 4 passes all season, is now starting the AFC Championship game. So I know people are like, "Oh, ball don't lie. Bills should have won that." No, get out of here with that. I mean, I do like that ball when it happens, and but when the call was wrong, none of those calls were wrong. Look, there's one that we mentioned many times. Blame the rule book, not the officials.
Right.
But the last one was definitely pass interference. So I don't want to hear ball don't lie when it comes to this. I feel terrible for Bo Nix because 5 years ago people were talking about how terrible of a quarterback he was while he was at Auburn. And then he went and tore it up at Oregon and has looked pretty serviceable so far as a pretty good young quarterback in the NFL. Sean Payton has worked wonders.
That's just what happens. Those SEC guys, if they want to become big-time NFL guys, they got to go to the Big Ten.
Go to the Big Ten, yeah, absolutely. You're not going to get anywhere in the SEC. You got to go to the Big Ten.
I don't even know that Oregon was in the Big Ten that year.
Probably not, no. But it's fine. We get to take...
Listen, we're not going to let facts ruin a good story.
But we can take all of their success. As soon as you become part of the Big Ten, we get all of your history. Everything that's ever happened.
I'm not going to lie. Well, in a related note, Brock Purdy, even though he plays for the Niners and I don't like him, has gone up numerous notches in my book right now because
Iowa State.
Matt Campbell.
Right, he's Matt Campbell. I now look. I really was hoping that Jaden Higgins had a better game today because he's like the.
Might have to get me a Seneca Wallace jersey.
6 degrees of Penn State football, right? That's where we're at. So we're gonna move on from Bills-Broncos and talk about the second game. Probably not a lot to say because it was an absolute beatdown of epic proportions. Rashid Shaheed, a great in-season acquisition by the Seattle Seahawks and GM John Schneider. They destroyed the ailing San Francisco 49ers 41-6. It was 7-0 before you could even blink. People probably hadn't even turned the TV on yet. And it was 7-0 because of his 95-yard kickoff return touchdown.
Hey, chalk one up to the dynamic kickoff rules.
Yes. Hey. I did see that in one of the games yesterday, there was the wrong spot, and neither the officials nor anyone on either team figured it out. No one pointed. I'm guessing it was they started it at the 25, and it was supposed to be the 35, or vice versa.
Right. Yeah.
No one called on. I'm sure there was someone on Twitter you're spotting it the wrong spot, but no one involved in the game realized it, which is just fantastic. That's because I don't want to see some coach on a sideline freaking out and then going.
This is just the way my brain works, and you'll understand this. That reminds me, it was a game Penn State was playing. It was either one of the games they lost against some nobody from Michigan State, or they lost to Wisconsin or something like that. But it was a play where it's late in the game. I'm there, and they rule that he had a passing motion, right? That
Okay.
that it was a throwing motion, but that the ball went backwards the entire time. It was not batted back. Like the quarterback threw it, but the ball went backwards like maybe 5 or 6 yards. It went out of bounds. So okay, it's not Penn State ball, but I'm like that. I don't care if it was a throwing motion. That was behind the line of scrimmage. Like it was a backwards throw, not just behind the line of scrimmage. It was a
fumble,
backwards
a
throw.
live ball and a
That
fumble.
should have. They should lose 6 yards on
Yes.
that play.
Right, 100%.
And they go to replay and they're like, he had a throwing motion.
doesn't matter
Right.
if you're trying to throw the ball
And
backwards.
I was hundreds of yards away in my seat, losing
Screaming.
my mind.
You're wrong.
Right. I could see it from here.
Oh,
Oh
my
my gosh.
gosh.
Not that I'm bitter and have hung on to that for
No, not
10
at all.
years, but
Not at all. So I'm trying to pull up which game it was where no one caught on.
but yeah, oh my gosh, what the Seahawks just blew the doors
destroy.
off them.
Absolutely destroyed. What was going on? 41-6 is they just what do you even say? Unbelievable. So the 49ers are now gone, and I thought that they were one of the more fluky teams, that they were kind of, playing like smoke and mirrors and not exactly a team that anyone had to worry about. They took it to the Eagles last week and held in there and got the win on the road. And hey, credit to them for doing that with all the injuries that they've gone through this year. But I just didn't see it. I'm not. Look, I know you just got done saying about how you like Brock Purdy. I don't have anything against Brock
listen.
Purdy, but I don't think he's
No.
an elite quarterback. I
No.
don't think you're going to win a Super Bowl with him.
No, they had their shot. They were up double digits in the fourth quarter on the Chiefs, and they blew it.
Well, that.
Wasn't that him?
Well, now I'm getting confused. I don't think Purdy's been in the Super Bowl with the 49ers, has he?
Was that what's his name?
Garoppolo.
Oh, was that Garoppolo?
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Oh
think.
yeah. Yeah. Well, hang on. No, because I thought they went the year. I don't know. Hang on. We're looking up Super Bowl.
Go ahead. So Tre'Davious White said on his pass interference, referees just don't know ball. That's what he said.
Says the guy who clearly doesn't know ball. All right.
I can't find this spot. I wanted to know what game it was and when it happened. But
All right. So
it's
let's
just
see.
taking forever for me to find it. So we're gonna move on.
Yeah. So 2 years ago, they beat the Chiefs beat the Niners in overtime.
God, man, these Super Bowls with the Chiefs are just running together
Right.
in my head. That's right, in overtime.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the Eagles.
Well, is that the one that then Chad then retired?
No, he retired after the Eagles won, didn't he?
I don't know, dude. They're all running together. Not having the Chiefs in the playoffs this year, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing for my mind when it
Right.
comes to this
Um,
stuff. But
yeah,
okay.
they had. Yeah, I thought he retired after the Eagles one, because the Eagles one was the one where he beat the Browns, where he went in and got them going to beat the Browns, I think.
I'm just gonna look it up because
don't
I'm
know.
not gonna, I'm not gonna do this anymore. When he retired 3 years ago after the Chiefs beat the Eagles.
Yeah.
February 12th, 2023.
Because we had him on and I got to see that Super Bowl ring.
Yes. Yeah. So.
I think it was that one.
So his last NFL season was 2022.
Yeah, because he brought both rings.
He did. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was awesome. We didn't ask him to do that either.
No.
He just
That
brought
was,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah, you're right. That was the year that he got his first postseason touchdown pass to Travis Kelce, who then threw it into the stands, and it took forever, but he did get it back. So, longest postseason touchdown drive in Chiefs history.
Yep.
I believe they have a bobblehead that commemorates it.
Yeah.
So, you're right. Yes, 2022. I'm looking at it. So 2019 season, the Chiefs won the Super Bowl. That's when they came back to beat the 49ers, right? Because it was February 2020.
No,
2019.
No, they did it like the one before the Eagles won. So the one between the Eagles losing to the Chiefs and the Eagles beating the Chiefs is when they came back in overtime against the
No.
Niners.
It wasn't in overtime. That's what I'm saying. The Chiefs the first time when the Chiefs won their first Super Bowl of this run, they beat the 49ers.
Oh, I don't know. Now I gotta pull it back up.
No, I have it right here. Chad was inactive for that one. He was injured that season.
Oh, I understand.
You understand?
Yeah.
The 2019 season, 2020 Super Bowl. That was the Chiefs' second Super Bowl title ever. It was the first one with Mahomes.
Okay.
That was after the 2019 season. All I want is list.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. So they won that one 31-20. The Chiefs won 31-20.
Right, but they were losing in the fourth quarter. That was with Garoppolo.
Okay.
Right. That's
Well, I don't remember. I don't remember how that game went. I know that they were losing to the Niners in 2023 season 24 Super Bowl, and they came from behind and went to overtime and they won.
Right. So Chiefs beat Niners in 2020. Chiefs lose the Bucks in 2021.
Yes.
Then it's Chiefs nowhere. It's Rams-Bengals.
Right.
Then it's Chiefs-Eagles part 1. Chiefs win that one 38-35. Chad retires. Chiefs go back to the Super Bowl, go back-to-back, beat the 49ers again, this time in overtime.
And Brock Purdy.
With Brock Purdy, correct. And then last year, Eagles-Chiefs. That is wild. We've had a lot of the same teams in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and that's... I mean, other than the Rams...
I was going to say, so if you don't have the Rams in this year, you'd have teams that have not been in it in a long time, right?
Right.
Oh, God, I just don't want it to be the Patriots.
I mean, a long time meaning like 10-ish years.
Well, it'll be 10 years
right.
because the Broncos... If it's Denver and not New England, Denver versus Seattle or... Well, but then it would be... Or Denver Bears. Ooh, that would be a historical one there. I mean, the Bears destroyed the Broncos when they played. But the Broncos have also played the Seattle Seahawks in the Super Bowl,
right.
and the Seahawks destroyed the Broncos.
Yes.
So, but at least if it's Broncos against Seahawks or Broncos against Bears, that one is 10 years plus.
Right.
Like, one of those teams has been in it. Has been 10 years. So, another reason to not root for the Patriots. We don't need them back in it. They were their last there in 2018. So... Which, man, it doesn't feel like it's been that long since they were in it, but February 2019 was the last time they were in it, and it was against the Rams. And that was quite possibly the most boring Super Bowl ever.
Yeah.
That was a terrible Super Bowl.
And that's the one the Rams got to because of the bad non-call against the
Saints.
Saints.
Yes. And that was with Jared Goff.
Right.
And that was when you still were mad you didn't want Goff to win.
Right, because it was head-to-head because of Carson Wentz.
Man, remember those days. Anyways, that was a wild tangent to go on. But 49ers, their injuries finally caught up to them. Seahawks are a better team. They came out, special teams touchdown, defensive touchdown. 49ers tried to stick with it, but settled for field goals, and things just unraveled for them. Couldn't get it done. I don't think anyone can really blame them with the injuries that they had. McCaffrey was dinged up yesterday. Kittle obviously was lost to the torn Achilles last week. They didn't have Fred Warner. They didn't have Bosa. They were missing a whole bunch of other people, including, Brandon Ayuk didn't play
electrical substation, man.
Ayuk didn't play all year and is barely a member of the team.
Right.
They traded Debo. He hasn't been there now for a bit. Jawan Jennings was the lead guy. Did you know he went to Tennessee? I didn't know he went to Tennessee.
Did not.
Now
That
you
fits,
need to know Saturday to Sunday. You need to understand.
Oh gosh.
Remember
Yes.
that for the future because I'm sure he'll pop up eventually. I did well today.
I
got
did not
8 out
do
of
well
10.
today. Middle was rough for me today.
Natalie saw me text it to you. And she's
Okay.
like, "What's that?" And I explained it to her. I was like, "Oh, well, actually, someone that was on our other podcast just about a year ago did a little coding and made an app out of it, or a web app out of it, and it's fun because it
It's
tests
awesome.
your football knowledge, both college and pro. Just knowing things that I said, man, for like 25 years, I would have been amazing at this game.
Dude, the years when you were working for like Draft Tech and
Yeah,
stuff,
I would've-
you would.
I don't know that I would have missed any of them because I was
I know.
literally memorizing the profiles of like 350 draft eligible prospects. So now there would be ones that I would confuse. I'd see the
absolutely.
name and confuse it with someone
Right,
else.
right, and you're trying to get it quick
Right.
and like
You are the speed is of
Right,
the utmost
right.
importance. And I fat fingered one already. I was like, that's not what I meant to click. Yeah, so 49ers Seahawks, not entertaining. Congratulations to the Seahawks. They await the winner of Rams-Bears going on right now. And as we approach the end of the first quarter, the Rams are up 7-0. Now, the other final here on or the first final on the Sunday of the divisional round, was unfortunately a New England win over the Houston Texans, 28-16.
What a awful game.
Yeah, it wasn't a great game. I love the weather. Could have been a little bit more snowy.
The weather's fun though when the football's still good.
Yeah,
like watching it. The Patriots did not look that great.
Well, it ended up being more wet than snowy though.
But the Texans looked awful. Now,
C.J. Stroud and that offense were terrible.
Again, 2 weeks in a row. Now they scored a few touchdowns late last week.
Right. To turn that into a blowout when it really wasn't.
Oh my gosh. That was just bad. That was bad. Now, and again, it wasn't just him. He had other guys dropping the ball and helping out the Patriots too. Like, it was just bad. But again, they were without Nico Collins. Then they lost their tight end. Then they lost their other tight end. They lost their
Woody Marks
tackle.
was injured.
They lost their running back. Like,
yeah,
it was just going downhill.
But C.J. Stroud just played poorly. We have 4
Back-to-back
interceptions in the first half.
Back-to-back weeks, he looked awful.
Now, one of them was, off the hands, deflected. Like, I
yes,
get it.
but
that
when we're trying to justify it to get you down to 3, that were your fault.
Well,
in the
that
first half,
one interception,
Right,
but the other 3 were not good throws. They were bad reads, bad decisions.
And we said it with the Bills. It's hard to win a game when you turn the ball over 5 times. And guess what?
Yeah,
you turn the ball over 5 times.
And look, D'Amico Ryans, I think, has done a fantastic job with the Houston Texans. Have they made the playoffs every year he's been there? I think they might have. And I think they've won a game every time too. It's a really good. It's just they do really poorly in the divisional round. They haven't been able to get over that hump. They win a game. I mean, they blew out with the Browns.
The tough thing is you start getting to the point where having like just a really good defense
isn't enough.
No. And your terrible offensive line gets exposed every year in that next round. And because the Patriots defense was just running straight through their defensive line or their offensive line.
And I mean, D'Amico Ryans did have some weird decisions towards the end of the game where they blew through 2 timeouts, only had 1 left, couldn't really stop the clock, down 2 scores with like 4.5 minutes to play, and they're punting the ball. I know it was 4th and 18.
I know, because like, what are you afraid of, getting like blown out? Like,
who cares?
Right.
You need to make a big play. And as we saw in the Broncos-Bills game, if you're aggressive, you can sometimes get calls that will give you a first down.
Right.
But they didn't want to do that for some reason. So the Texans are out. The Patriots are on. The only positive from this, Justin, is that I believe both of us completely nailed the AFC prediction when we did this during Wild Card Weekend.
Right.
Was it Wild Card Weekend or was it before the playoffs even started?
It was before the
Might have been
started.
before the playoffs started. We got it. It's 1 versus 2. So I know that's technically chalk, but I don't think that there were a ton of people that thought both of these teams were going to be good enough to make it there.
Yeah.
Especially people were questioning the Patriots because of the lack of their schedule strength. It wasn't great.
Well, yes. But I am one of those now who's like, you look at it, and I was telling you this before, or like during the game, like, I watched that game, and like, yeah, they kind of took it to the Texans, but at the same time, like, it should have been a blowout with how bad the Texans played. That should have been a blowout. At the same time, I'm like, well, now they get to play a nobody at quarterback, and like
a former player of theirs.
They're going to be favored. They're going to be favored in the
half.
AFC Championship
because
they go against a nobody at quarterback.
They are favored by 4.5 on the road. On the road, they're favored by 4.5.
I would love to see what the spread would have been if Nix wasn't hurt. Like, I think it's Broncos 2.5. I think Broncos 2.5.
Right, that's what I mean. Denver minus 2.5. That would be my guess, but we'll never know because Bo Nix is not playing. It'll be Jarrett Stidham making his first start. I saw that.
Call Peyton Manning up.
Pro Football Talk. Someone said Drew Brees. Pro Football Talk said that if Jarrett Stidham can beat the New England Patriots and go to the Super Bowl, he'll be the first person since Frank Reich started to start a playoff game as their first start of the season, to start in the playoffs and then win it. Frank Reich did it obviously for the Buffalo Bills, but I think then gave way to Jim Kelly. I don't think that lasted. I think that was a 1-game thing, which it was also one of the greatest comebacks in NFL history against the Houston Oilers, which I think could only be rivaled by that game a few years ago. Was it Vikings? Who was that against? Remember that game They were losing by
Yeah.
like 32 at halftime or something.
Yeah.
Who was that against?
I thought it was the Colts.
Vikings Colts. Yeah, I think you're right. The Colts were up
Yeah.
33-6 or something. Yeah, something or maybe more, 34-3. It was. I'm pretty sure it was 30 plus points.
Yeah.
And the Vikings came back to win. But yeah, that's a famous playoff game. The Frank Reich Buffalo Bills against the Houston Oilers, down by huge 4+ touchdowns at halftime.
That's
to come back
Cedar
to win.
Crest grad, Frank.
Cedar
Reich.
Crest grad, yes. So Rams-Bears is 7-7 in the second quarter, so a close game in Chicago. Despite my dislike a bit of Caleb Williams.
It's more like annoyance.
It's, yeah, it
with-
is. It
and
really
again,
is.
we
It
mentioned
really
this
is.
before the show. It might be his dad. Like, it's hard to differentiate,
Right, it could
but
be
it could be
linked more-
more like his
His
Mr.
actions
Williams
and
than
attitude at the end of
Caleb.
his USC time,
Right.
throughout the NFL draft process, and through the first season of him in Chicago, rubbed me the wrong way, and,
Right.
and I'm holding it against him.
Right.
Do I actually actively am angry at him like I was for many years about Tom Brady? No.
Well, he hasn't cheated.
Not yet. Give him time. But I'm rooting for the Rams, but honestly, in the grand scheme of things, if it is the Bears against the Seahawks, I'll be perfectly fine with it because the Bears haven't been relevant in this far into the playoffs in
Right.
a long time. They made the playoffs with Rex Grossman many, many years ago now, and obviously they're great in the 80s, and they're a historic franchise before that. But I will take the Bears over the Seahawks. Yeah, but we'll see. 7-7 in the second quarter right now. So, Justin, I don't want to start anything new. I don't
No,
want to dive
that's
into
fine.
Penn State stuff. We're about
Yeah, it's
out of time, but we nailed AFC Championship game completely. We're halfway to the NFC Championship game because I had Seattle there. I had
I had taken the Eagles because what
that's
was
right.
I going
you
to
did.
do?
Yeah,
But
right. So
that did not happen.
I had Seattle versus the Rams. So if the Rams win here, I'm perfect 4 for 4 in my final four, which you think would help me more in Uncle Rich's player pool that we did. But I was like in 8th or 9th out of 14 or something like that, or maybe there's more than that even. I wasn't at the bottom, but I was closer to the bottom than the top, and
Right.
and maybe this will only help me as we move forward because I was like, well, I picked these 4 teams to make the championship game. I'm gonna lean on that hardcore.
Maybe it should have told me something about my confidence in my picks. I did not pick a lot of Eagles, even though
I took
pick 'em.
Barkley and AJ Brown.
So I
So-
took Barkley. I'm trying to think. I don't know that I had. Oh, I had them as my NFC defense, but I didn't.
Oh, see, I have the Seahawks defense special
there you go.
teams.
There you
That honestly may be the only. No, I have Smith and Jigba too. I have Smith and Jigba.
I had Kenneth Walker,
No, I didn't have Walker because I
Um,
wasn't sure with Charbonnet.
and I also
Charbonnet,
had. Yeah, I feel like I'm like some of the guys I have left are like all right, but like I don't know that I have enough left to actually make it matter.
Yeah,
So.
my tight ends both got injured.
Yeah.
Kittle didn't get
I
me
feel
much
like every
last week.
year I
Schultz
like
didn't get me much this
I'm
week.
like, okay, I might be all right, and then I look and I'm like, no, everyone else is doing really well.
Yeah, I was really surprised at some of the scores. So, all right, well, I think that's it. Go enjoy the final divisional game.
Yeah.
NFC Rams Bears tied score. Rams have the ball. We've got 3 of the 4 final 4 teams. It's been an exciting season. It's been, I feel like parity is hitting. There wasn't a dominant team, and I mean, really, of the currently 5 teams playing, if you told me they were going to win the Super Bowl at this point, I'd be like, okay. Like I still don't know that I buy into the Bears. But if it's Bears Seahawks, that's 2 of the 3 teams that I called frauds. That
Right.
one of them's going to be playing for the Super Bowl. I am all in on the Rams. I don't know what to think about the Patriots, and now with the Broncos without Knicks, it continues to be a weird year. Continues to be.
Yeah.
So I honestly, the most not acceptable, but the thing that would probably make the season feel that it went a normal way is honestly if the Rams win now, because Stafford is probably,
the best quarterback,
if
remaining.
not the MVP, next closest to it behind Drake May, and that's all regular season based. I mean, for that, Rams Patriots would make it MVP 1 versus MVP 2 probably.
That would be cool.
So, go Rams.
I'd root for the Rams in that one
So.
too. Yep.
But we'll see. So I think that's it. thanks so much for joining us for episode 430. We will be back in 2 weeks. No show next week. I'm celebrating Natalie's birthday. She will be a teenager this Thursday, Justin. The birthday
You're
season
old,
is
man.
underway. I am very old. I feel it every day of my life. And
Speaking of which, let's get ready to go shovel again.
oh God, third time in 30 hours or whatever. What? Come on, get out of here. This is ridiculous.
And you would think from the talk that would mean we got like boatloads of snow. We got a decent amount of snow, but it wasn't like a blizzard.
Right.
You know, like
It's
this
just
was not
random
it's just-
over
yeah.
the interval just didn't
Yes.
work in our favor. Got about 4 to 5 inches yesterday, 2
Yeah.
to 3 this morning,
And
and now we
right,
got another
it was-
1 to 2 tonight.
Right, it was significant, but like it's not like
Not
normally
crippling.
if we've got to go shovel
Right,
three
yeah.
times in this short
It's
amount
because
of time.
we got 3 feet of snow.
Right. That's
which
not this.
happened almost 10 years ago. It was because Haley wasn't even 1 yet, and we have her out in the snow, and it's towering over her because we got, I think, 32 inches of snow, and that's the last giant snowstorm we've gotten. It's been 10 years.
I think that was when I hurt my back.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Good memories.
Yeah,
So
good times.
You
good
like
times.
me not going into the nostalgia for 2016. As I'm always like 2016 was the worst year of my life. I don't ever want to remember 2016. People are like, oh, 2016 was 10 years ago. I'm like, good. I hope it gets farther in the rearview mirror. It was awful. I do not wish that year upon myself again.
I saw you
so.
do that. You like the thing that was like, forget 2016.
Let's go back to 2006.
Right,
I'm much more comfortable with 2006. Thank you. Let's go back to 2006. Although
How about all those ones that are like where they go around asking people what year they were born, and it's like 2000 whatever, and then they get to someone they start 19 and they just cut them off and like go to like old music like.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
great,
Yep.
awesome. So, all right. Well, thanks for listening. We'll be back in 2 weeks to preview the Super Bowl. Get ready for the final football game of the year, and then
Crazy.
the countdown will be on to August for high school football, the return of college football in September for pro football. So for Justin Raff, I'm Joe Mays. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show.
That's a wrap on this episode of the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show, brought to you by Mays Sandwich Shop. You can watch each weekly episode live on Facebook, Periscope, or YouTube. Be sure to like, follow, or subscribe to the show on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, and Google Play. You can also rate and review us on many of these platforms as well. We'd love to hear from you. Send your emails to the Mays Sandwich Shop inbox at joemaysandjraff@gmail.com. The Joe Mays and J-Raff Show is a part of the JMNJR Radio Network, home to other productions such as the Bulldog Hour, Tangents with Friends, and Nat Chats with Dad. Until next time.